Yeah, well, I don't think there's any doubt that it's the success of One Nation in the polls over the last few months that has given the Liberal Party the shock they needed to do something about the leader. Now, there's a lot more to play out from here. But in terms of
Correct.
Farah, so you've said you'll run a candidate in Susan Lee's, what will be her old seat when there is a by-election called. Do you think you're in with a chance of getting another member into the lower house?
We'll certainly be trying. We'll put a lot of effort into it. Barnaby's intending to go down there, and our Senator Bell from New South Wales, myself. So we will go down there to try and listen to people and represent them and ensure that they have a voice. If you look at the polling, and of course it's only polling, the true polling comes down to the election day, but people are fed up with it, and especially in rural and regional areas. They've had a gutful of it. You know, the statements, to me, Angus Taylor, a lot of it was motherhood statements. People want to see action. I've been consistent in my policies, especially in rural and regional areas, Caleb. They are dying. They don't have the assistance that they need. The farmers have been forgotten. In the farming communities, if we don't look after them, that money flows on to the communities and they're dying and the kids are leaving these communities. The biggest issue in Farah that I see is the water issue, the Murray-Darling Basin, and farmers need the water. The communities need the assistance and the water as well. So if we don't do something about it, you know, we're going to see more of them die. You know, all around Griffith, I mean, you know, 20, 30 years ago I went there. It was a huge, big orange industry. Where's all this gone?
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the scare that I think, again, in large part was caused by you and One Nation that the Nationals had to face up to, which was why I think it was a large part of the reason that the coalition broke up for a little while. Now that you've got Angus Taylor as leader of the coalition, you've previously said if there was a position where One Nation seats could help form a government, you'd be willing to go into a coalition with the Nationals or the Liberal Party. Would you be more willing or happier to form a coalition that involved Angus Taylor than one that involved Susan Lee?
The rules will change no different whether it's Susan Lee or whether it's Angus Taylor or anyone else. We will still remain totally independent. We will give them confidence and we will give them supply. But all bits of legislation or any amendments to any pieces of legislation will be overlooked thoroughly by One Nation to make sure that it's in the best interest for the country and the people. I won't get into a faction with them and willy-nilly just give them, you know, what they want. That's why we're in a hell of a mess. It's not just the Liberal National, I should say, it's just not the Liberal National Party. The Labor and Greens have destroyed this nation, very much so. And what we need to do is work with people and make sure they're putting the right policies forward. The people are hurting, Caleb. They're screaming out. The cost of living is driving them under. Their standard of living is down. The mass migration, you know. Here you have Angus Taylor. He signed up to net zero, but they're still part of the Paris Agreement. It's like sitting on the fence. It's just ridiculous, their policies. And what are their policies?
Well, and that's what they need to nut out. I mean, if they don't nut that out, they are dead. Just quickly, I want to go back to a point you raised at the top of the interview, which was that, you know, none of this is good for the Australian people. Is there an element, despite how well you've been doing in the polls, which is a vindication of what you've been saying for 30 years, is there an element of, I wish it didn't have to be like this because we have such a weak opposition?
We do have a weak opposition. I've been seeing that on the floor of Parliament since 2022. After that election, they became very dejected and they never put the work and effort into it. It's like they gave up. So Malcolm and I, in the first 3 years, we were working hard to be that opposition and to raise the issues. So, you know, as I've said earlier, it's really, you know, a different jockey on the same dead horse. And the people out there are basically saying, no different. They've left their run too late. People are not rusted on to the Liberals anymore. They've made up their minds. They don't want what they've offered them. They don't want the elitists telling, you know, working class poor out there and people are trying to struggle, keep a roof over their head and food on the table, telling what they think is best for them. You know, this is why I've a grassroots Australian. I care about this country. I care about the people out there. And they've been disregarded because they think the elites know better than what they do.
Absolutely.
That's wrong.
And that's why you're doing so well. Pauline Hanson, good luck. Keep it going and we'll speak again soon. Thank you for joining me.